meeting Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy today, and not surprisingly, the economy will be the main issue on the agenda for them. The Spanish economy, of course, had a very rough time recently. Still many challenges ahead, but in fact, it's just emerged from recession. In the last quarter, Spain reported growth of 0.1%, so just about managing to get into positive territory. That was at the same time, in fact, that France went in the other direction with a slight contraction of 0.1%. Well, earlier I asked our Madrid correspondent, Sarah Morris, what would be the main discussion point for the two leaders.
Top of the agenda is probably banking union and above all, how should shaky banks in the Eurozone actually be handled when they need fresh capital. Now, France will be hoping to get support from Spain for a common position ahead of a summit between European leaders next month. And basically, France would like to see a fund run by the Eurozone, which could actually fund shaky banks directly. Now, there's a bit of resistance from some countries that fear that that could mean that taxpayers in places like Germany effectively end up bailing out banks in the southern states of Europe.
Yeah, Sarah Morris in Madrid there. Unemployment, a big problem really in both countries, more so in Spain though, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. So this will be something they'll talk about as well. In Spain, in fact, the unemployment rate over 25% now, so more than 1 in 4. Well, 1 in 4 just about out of work, as you can see. France, much lower in comparison, although the French rate, of course, has been rising for 2 years and is bigger than the European average. But it's really for young people that we see the problem. In Spain, that rate, you see it's more than 1 in 2 now out of work. And in France as well, not much better. So I think we can expect that growth and jobs will also be on the agenda for those two leaders.
Take us through the markets then, Matthew.
Yeah, well, let's start with Asia, just see how trading wrapped up there. And we saw the Nikkei making some losses there, down 0.4%. The Shanghai Composite actually having one of its best day recently. But look at Europe as well, and we've seen some gains there, so they're picking up more on that positive sentiment that we saw. But the main thing to note really is that there is quiet trading really going on this week, particularly as the US winds down for its Thanksgiving holiday, which is on Thursday. There's very quiet trading, lots of people taking time off, and the markets, in fact, in the US will be closed for that holiday tomorrow.
OK, we're going to stay in the US. The president's taken a little bit of time off, hasn't he, to visit a movie studio.
That's right. One of the perks of the job, perhaps, you get to do fun things like this and you don't have to wait in line like everybody else. There he was at the DreamWorks studio in California, and what he's doing there is watching a film being made that's called How to Train Your Dragon 2. I didn't know there was a How to Train Your Dragon.
I haven't seen it, but I do remember it.
There you go, Stuart. It must be for kids.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, he also met Steve Martin, as you can see there, and he got to see an animated version of himself who sounded a bit like this.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Welcome to the White House.
And I thought Obama had more than 3 fingers.
I think he does. I think he does.
Yeah.
We'll have to count them. Well, he was also speaking, of course, there was a serious side to all of this, speaking about the contribution of the entertainment industry to the US economy.
Entertainment is one of America's biggest exports. And every day you sell a product that's made in America to the rest of the world. That thing we do better than anybody else is creativity. That's something that can't be copied. It's one of the reasons why, even with new markets and new technologies, there's still no better place to make movies and television and music than right here in the United States.
President Obama in Hollywood there. Well, let's get some of the day's company news now. And here in France, the media group Vivendi is spinning off its telecoms unit. SFR will now be listed separately on the stock market. This is all part of Vivendi's strategy to focus its business more on media. The company also announcing that Vincent Bolloré, Vivendi's biggest shareholder, he'll take over as chairman, and Vivendi shares are up 3% this morning.
Britain's newly privatised post office said profits doubled in the first half of the year. The Royal Mail said increased revenue from its parcel business, together with cost-cutting, boosted results there. Royal Mail's share price up 3% on that news this morning.
And the French hotel group Accor is reorganising its business. Europe's biggest hotel operator will split in two. One will manage the company's hotel brands, which include Ibis, Novotel and Sofitel, as a franchisor, while the other will then own and purchase hotel properties. Well, the company says it wants to improve performance and shareholder returns, but investors don't seem so sure. Shares in Accor down 4.6% at the open in Paris this morning.
One day they'll do an animated Matthew Warren with the business news. Thanks very much, Matthew. More from him, of course, tomorrow, in fact, here on France 24. Now it's time for today's international papers with Flo.